Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. I want to tell you guys about some free and kind of easy ways that we can help out the world a little bit more, because it's like really hard to do. You think that you can't make a difference and it's really hard, but there's actually a lot that we can do. There's a quote that I love that Shelby says at the end of all of her videos. She says, "You can't do all the good that the world needs, but the world needs all the good that you can do." And I love that, and I think about that a lot. So I think that every little thing that I do, I want to try and help and just be more mindful of what I'm doing and how it impacts the earth and our lives, really. So let's get started. Right now, I have a couple dishes that I want to take care of, so we're going to do that while we talk about these things. One of the biggest things that I struggle with is that I feel like I can't do anything because I don't have the money and the resources to do things, which is a very common misconception because we really don't need to be spending money in order to help out and do what we can. And kind of a disclaimer, all the things that I mention here are not going to be 100% that I do. I'm still working on those things. I'm still trying to implement new things into my life, and not everyone is a perfect person. All we can do is just keep going. The first tip that I have is to change your internet browser. And a lot of you might already know there's an internet browser called Ecosia, I think that's how you say it. Basically, their whole mission is to just plant more trees and be more, environmentally friendly. And I actually just learned that there's so many other internet browsers just like Ecosia. And I actually just found a link to, I think, 7 different internet browsers. So I will definitely link that down below for you guys. So that way you guys can see all the different browsers there are and what they do, what their mission is to help change the world. My next tip also has to do with computers. It's to empty out all your trash folders and to trash everything. Anything that's in your inbox folder that you just don't need, throw it away, trash it, and then empty out your trash. But make sure that it's not something important that you really need. When we keep things in our virtual trash folders, they're being held in data centers, and it takes energy to keep those data centers up. So just clearing out any folders, anything that you have on your device that you just do not need, get rid of it, because you don't even need it, you don't use it, you don't look at it. So what's the point of keeping it on your phone and having it being held up in a data center? The logic is there for me. I also want to say that I'm very, very new to this. I'm not good at being very eco-friendly. I'm just kind of starting my journey. So I have a lot to learn, but that's okay because we all start somewhere. For example, this container here, we use it all the time, use it for lunch, and it gets heated and reheated in the microwave, which I know microplastics, they're not good, but it's what's working for us right now. And we've reused this so much that it's actually starting to break. The plastic is getting so thin. It does say that it could be in the microwave. In this corner right here, it's coming in and it's starting to crack. So I'm gonna get rid of this actually finally. So yes, as far as I'm concerned, this can be recycled. So this is done for. We have plenty of other plastic containers that we're still using, and we will continue to use. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a bit. As I was saying, my next tip would be to reuse everything as much as possible. There's a lot of times that we go to the grocery store and we get those plastic bags. I have a ton of them. I reuse those for things like trash. I reuse it for storage. I reuse it for groceries. If I can remember, I'll put them in my car, and if I remember, I'll put them back in my car after the next trip. And those grocery bags last for a really long time if you take care of them and you're not doing anything crazy. And it's a great idea to go and buy tote bags, but if you already have those bags, just use them. Don't go and buy them, but try to just use what you have first. And I just showed you guys my plastic container that's wearing out on us. Microplastics are of course a really big deal, but if you're not as worried about it because you kind of know it's in your body already and blah blah blah, then reuse your plastic containers, reuse your plastic plates, cups, water bottles, whatever you have, reuse everything. I'll even reuse sometimes disposable things. For example, we have the red disposable cups. We wash them and reuse them. It's not a new thing. Plastic, going to wash it. The next tip that I have is kind of a big one. Don't litter. Pick up any trash that you can. Of course, if there's trash on your street that's been there for a very long time, probably don't touch it. If you feel the need that you have to, use some gloves, dispose of it in a separate bag. Because I've done that a couple times. I just went out to the curb of my street and I just sweeped up some trash that was out there. If it's possible, if you feel like you can, you're not like a crazy germ person, pick up any trash that you can and don't litter, just like at all, because that's lame. Why would you litter? I believe that nobody is ugly. I believe that every single person is beautiful. Unless you litter, then you're ugly. I don't make the rules. Sorry. Okay, the next tip that I have for you guys is to turn off your water anytime you can. Like when you're washing dishes or you're brushing your teeth, you're not using the water in between. Don't let the water keep running. Turn it off, open and close it every time. It's kind of annoying at first. It takes a long time to get used to. I'm still kind of getting used to it. Like there are times where I'll wash a couple things at a time and forget to turn off the water. But for the most part, I've learned to turn off the water. And especially like when I'm brushing my teeth, I don't like to touch the faucet again. I don't like to touch the handles after my hands are already touching my mouth and everything. So I have a towel on the faucet just to like keep that barrier from the faucet germs. It's a thing. Point is, turn off the water when you can. Don't let it keep running. That includes the shower too. Don't take like super long showers. I used to love taking my hour-long showers with like hot water, boiling water. But I've learned to have cooler showers, not so hot, also not long. My longest shower now is 30 minutes. And I always try to time myself in the shower. Every now and then I think it's okay to like pamper yourself, take your time in the shower and everything. But I think for the most part, do not take that long in the shower. Don't waste that much water. I feel like that's a really big thing that a lot of people don't realize, how much water is wasted when we shower. The next tip that I have is to donate, sell, or upcycle anything that you just don't want anymore. Instead of immediately throwing it away, if it's still good, mind you, if it's still good, don't sell and give away things that are like really, really bad, obviously. But instead of throwing it in the trash where it's gonna end up in the landfill, why not give it a second life to somebody else who's actually gonna use it? I know that a lot of people don't like Goodwill and a lot of thrift stores lately because they're just jacking up their prices and it's all kind of the same things. But I feel like even doing that is better because there's still a chance for it. Sell it on Depop, eBay, Mercari. It's not just clothes, it's like your electronics too. Give it to somebody else, give it to somebody who can repair it. Don't just throw it away immediately. I think that every single thing can be fixed up to a certain amount of times. And it's better to find a way for it to have use rather than to just immediately throw it away. Kind of along the lines of donating, we have buy nothing groups. This is something that I'm also very new at. I know that we don't love Facebook right now. Facebook is the only way that I know about this program. So I made a Facebook account specifically for this. Join some buy nothing groups. Basically, they'll post these items. They'll say, oh, does anybody want this? You know, if you're interested, you let them know. They'll tell you where to meet, blah, blah, blah. I've yet to buy anything from my groups. Just because, again, I'm not like active on Facebook. I made an account just to join the groups. I really recommend looking up buy nothing groups in your area. I think there's a website actually, now that I think about it. Look that up and I'll put it down below if there is. I literally, in the Facebook search, I just put buy nothing group and then city, area, zip code, wherever you can. Also in these buy nothing groups, you can ask for things. So don't be afraid to ask for things, especially like from your own neighbors, from your friends, from your family. Don't be afraid to ask for things. Trying to better the planet, we want to build like more community. So I think regularly borrowing and giving to your neighbors, I think that that's gonna be a really good thing. I can't wait to do that when I grow up too. Okay, the next tip, do not immediately buy something if you don't need it. If you don't immediately need something, you see something maybe online that's kind of trendy, don't fall for it. I'm a huge victim to this. I impulse buy a lot of things. It was not a good place for me. It's not a good place for the planet. Immediately go buy something. Also with trying to be greener, trying to get more eco-friendly things, yeah, I could go out and buy a brand new water bottle, but I already have a water bottle. I could just keep using that. I could go buy new glass Tupperware. I would really like to, but for the moment, I can't afford that very much. I don't have the space for it, and I still have my plastic Tupperware that's kind of completely fine. If you need some kind of container, you can almost always reuse things. Food jars or anything like that, you don't need that brand new aesthetic thing. You don't. And that's something that like it takes time to unlearn, especially if you were kind of an addict. It takes a lot of self-discipline. It's something that like when you get there, you're like immune, and then you kind of forget why you thought that way. And then when you see other people do it, you're like, why do you need this? You don't need this. You still have this and this. You could use this and this. So do not go and immediately start buying new things. Just use what you have, look at everything that you have and see if you could use that first. And if you can, that's great. That's the best thing. Use up what you can. Give it as much life as possible before we have to discard of it. Okay, we're almost done. We're almost done with this list, I promise. If you have any old clothing, any old towels, anything kind of old that like you don't really want to wear, you don't want to use anymore, and if you don't want to donate it but you also feel bad throwing it away, I do this with so many of my things actually. I use my old clothing as like rags. I kind of despise paper towels. They just get used like so much and so often. I love using cloth and fabric to clean. I love it to dry my hands, to dry my dishes. I also have like 3 or 4 different t-shirts that I use for painting specifically. Like when I'm painting and then I'm washing out my brushes, I use t-shirts to dry them. And these t-shirts, they're all stained, they're all gross, they're ripped, but I'm not wearing them. They're just for my paint, and it washes and then I get to use it again. So I know that it's kind of a hassle to keep re-washing the same thing, but I feel like for me, it's a bigger trade-off to be washing these things rather than to keep buying these paper towels. That's just me. I know I'm kind of a hater sometimes. If you are gonna use rags and towels and stuff for cleaning purposes, I would recommend washing those like in a separate small load, just because the chemicals, you kind of don't want to mix that with your clothes, at least in my head. That's what I do. It works for me, okay? And I do use paper towels still. I'm not like completely against them. I use them for certain things that are just like too germy for me. Point is to minimize your paper towel, your napkin usage, your single-use uses. Also gives a second life to the clothing that you would have otherwise thrown away, like I mentioned before. Okay, this is the very last thing that I have for you guys. As far as I know, going to the library and getting a library card is free. I feel like libraries are just so good for communities. They have so many good resources, and going and supporting your library is kind of one of the best things to do for your community. From the research that I've done, from what I know, libraries are super important. And again, if you can go to your library, if you have access to one near you, I would highly recommend you use it. And this is my very last tip. The very last free thing that you can do to help the environment is to walk. Take walks. Go walking wherever you need to go if you can. I know that there's a lot of places where you physically can't go anywhere without a car. If you could take the bus, if you can walk, if you can bike, if you could do anything that's not car, that's like a really big win in my book. When I lived in San Francisco, we took the bus and the train a lot, and that, I don't know why, but I loved it so much. And a lot of people don't like taking the bus, but I love taking the bus. And even now, I kind of drive my car everywhere, but I would love to start walking more places. I would love to start taking the bus more. I love it genuinely so much. But I know that the bus might be expensive for some people. There are programs to help with that as far as I'm concerned. But if you can walk to anywhere, please walk. I feel like walking is just so good for your body. It's so good to be outside and like take in your environment if you can. If you're in a safe place, please. If you're not in a safe place, don't listen to me. Just take your car, it's fine. You're forgiven, it's okay. And that is all the tips and advice that I have for you guys today. These are just some of the free things that I could think of for us to do to help the environment, to help ourselves and our communities, because there's just so much that goes into helping our planet that starts with us. And again, I feel like there's so much that we feel like we can't do anything ourselves, like we're too small to make an impact. But when you do the things yourself and you start planting the seeds in other people and you see them start to do the same things, it makes a difference. It starts to make a difference. And in the end, it's much better, and it feels better knowing that you're doing what you can. Even if you can't afford anything, the free things that you can do is like the best thing to do. I'm gonna put links down to everything, as much things as I can think of, as much things as I could find. I'm gonna put a link to Shelby's channel because I love watching her. She gives me so much inspiration, and I want to be like her when I grow up, kind of. I mean, so again, in the words of Shelby, you cannot do all the good that the world needs, but the world needs all the good that you can do. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, I'm kind of a beginner at this. I'm learning as I go. So if you guys have any other free things, any other tips that you'd like to share, please let me know. I really want to know. And I would really appreciate it if we could all share and be nice with each other. So yeah, I will see you guys next week. Thank you for being here. I love you guys so much. Bye-bye.